want to start off today talking about vacation. This has been vacation season for a lot of us. The kids have been on vacation from school, many of them, at least for part of the summer. Even year-round schools have part of the summer off. Some of the adults here have had vacations when we've gotten out of the canal. I just got back from my vacation about 10 days ago. And what a great opportunity it was to be able just to rest, right? Our bodies, physically, it's just nice to have that time, get plenty of sleep, catch up on all that. It's also nice to rest our minds. So there for a couple of weeks or forever when we're off, we just, not think about the things that bring stress into our lives, just focus on other things. But there's also a great opportunity we have during vacation. But really, this is something we should take advantage of all the time, and that is the opportunity not only to rest in mind and body, but in spirit, to be spiritually renewed. And that's really what I want to think about a little bit, at least start thinking about today, is this idea of spiritual renewal. And feeling rested, it's something it's a reason that we have the Sabbath, right? We pick out a day of the week, 1 in 7, to spiritually renew ourselves. And this is actually part of my contract here. It's a part of my letter of calling, that the expectation of my vacation time, that I'm going to spend at least a part of it on spiritual renewal. And actually, that's very common among ministers, at least amongst my colleagues and friends that I know, that you need to spend part of your vacation on spiritual renewal. And different ministers do this in different ways. I've got one friend, he goes to a Catholic monastery in the middle of nowhere in the desert in New Mexico. And he spends a week there. He puts on the robes and he doesn't talk. And he just goes through the whole thing in a week of prayer and meditation and silence. And that really renews him spiritually. And boy, that does sound renewing. I tell you, that'd be to commit that much time to it. And I had another friend that goes to another monastery. It's a Buddhist monastery in California. It pretty much does the same thing. I guess we need to start our own monasteries to give ourselves a chance to do this. But I think it's kind of cool that these places allow us, us ministers, us folk, to come to them. There's other ways we can renew ourselves spiritually. I mean, just simply resting our bodies and our minds helps us to renew our spirits. So does prayer, so does study. All that helps, and that's the thing to do. But I'll tell you what I do. And this has the biggest effect on me. To me, this is the number one thing I can do to renew myself in spirit. And that is what, especially when I'm on vacation, but actually, this is so effective, I've made it a practice every day. I do this every day now, but I really give it a lot more time on vacation. Is every day I focus on the things I am grateful for. The blessings in my life. And there's something about that practice that every day, waking up, and sometime in the early hours of the day, thinking, and I try to think of at least 3 things that I am grateful for. I tell you, it has a way of just reorienting my spiritual life. I think of my spirit kind of as a compass, and sometimes it points in the wrong direction, sometimes it points over here. When I start thinking every day about what I have to be grateful for, my spirit gets pointed back to God. And here I do the first thing in my day is to be thankful. That's my first response to God in the day. And I'll tell you, it affects the rest of my day. The rest of my day is affected by just those few moments of thanksgiving right at the beginning. And I think one reason this is helpful is to me and to all of us, and can be helpful to all of us, is it's so easy to concentrate on the negatives in life. To concentrate our thinking on what we cannot do, on who we cannot see, on the places we cannot go. It is so easy for us to define ourselves, who we are, by the negative, by what we don't have, instead of the positive, instead of all the blessings that exist in our lives. What we do, or what we can have. Let's look at that. Not long ago, I was somewhere, I think it was maybe an optometrist's office or something, and I opened up a magazine, and apparently this magazine was for more affluent readers than myself, because I turned to the first page, and there was an ad, and it was for a watch. It was a beautiful watch, but it was a watch I will never be able to afford. I would never buy. Never be able to. And I turned the page, and then there was this amazing ad, which I so out of my comprehension for an airline. And one of the seats, one of the classes on this airline actually gave you your own little cubicle. So you're there, you're all by yourself, and there's a little wall around you, and you're in a seat that fully reclines, and you got your own little television, and all these other little things that are there for you, and of course the flight attendant comes and brings you whatever you want to drink, and that's a class, that's a chair I'm never going to sit in, I can tell you that. And then turn to the next page, and there's a hotel that's way beyond my budget. I end up putting that paper down, and despite myself feeling a little bad about my life, feeling a little sad about me, poor old me. Here are all the things that I will never have. And it doesn't matter that I only wear a watch on Sundays. I don't usually wear a watch. I don't ever want to go to the place that airline flies. I'm not interested in being in the city where that hotel is, and even if I were, I wouldn't use the many amenities that they offer there. None of that matters. It's just so easy to start thinking of myself as the person who cannot get these things. Right? Instead of defining myself by the great abundance that exists in my life, it's what I don't have. And then we can even take the things that are blessings in our lives, like our families, our jobs, our responsibilities, and we can start saying, oh, even these things restrict me. You know, I'd like to go to Arkansas for a weekend, but I can't because I've got responsibilities. I've got work, I've got family, I have the money to do it, but no, I've got too many commitments in my life, too many relationships going on. And suddenly we start defining ourselves by the places we can't go, the things that we can't do. We do this with the people in our lives as well. It's so easy to think of our lives and think of the people we love and to concentrate only on those who are gone from us. People we wish we had in our lives, people we would love to have back, family members who have passed on, friends who have moved away, loved ones who don't live near us. And so we focus and we think of ourselves and we define ourselves by what we don't have, the people we can't be with right now, instead of seeing the relationships that are all around us, the blessings that God offers us every day. This happens too as we age. As we get older, there are fewer and fewer things that we can do. I've got my parents just went on they're in their 80s, and they just went on a trip and they said, this is our last trip. Well, they went off to Seattle and they had a lovely time. And they said, we're getting older. We're not going to be able to take trips like this again in the future. And yeah, I've heard it before, and it could well be that they'll be off to Miami next year. But the fact is, we do get to a point in our lives where we're going to probably travel less, we do less. Now, we can't do all the things we did when we were young. This was brought home to me this week. I was here at the office all morning, working at my desk, sitting down. And I came home for lunch. I got out of the car and I noticed that they put a new fence in. My neighbors had right next door. And the workers had dug up one of these big blocks of concrete and had left it there. I had forgotten to throw it away. And I'd seen it there before. And I found, somehow I thought that right after spending all morning sitting at a desk and then coming home right at noon in the heat of the day, this was the perfect time for me to pick up that 50-pound block of concrete and throw it into the pile. And so I went over and I let them down. And let me tell you, 15-year-old David could have managed it. 30-year-old David could have done it with no problem. 46-year-old David probably should have taken a few minutes to stretch before he did that. If I heard something pop, and for the next 4 days, you know how when you're down in the back and you're lying on the couch and you realize, I can't get up out of the couch. I've got to roll on the floor. Get on the floor and then get up. So I've spent a few days doing that. Yeah, as we get older, things are taken away from us. There are limitations, things we cannot do. We also do this, and these are all real, right? We only have so much money. You know, we only have so much physical ability. All those are real limitations in our lives. But then we start imposing other limitations, defining ourselves by the things we tell ourselves we can't do. We're good at this as we get older, especially by the time we get to be adults. Most of us have a list of things that we say to ourselves, I don't do that. I don't do that. And so we're asked, we're invited, and we say, no, I can't go there because I don't dance. No, I can't do that because I don't like crowds. No, I can't volunteer to do that because I'm not good with kids. No, I can't do that. not even of shame. All these things we have. And let me tell you, I'm an expert at this. I am a professional. I have got my list of things, and I will not do these things. And it's not because I can't do them. It's because I have told myself these are things I do not do. But every once in a while, something happens, and I break out of that cycle. I break through that wall. I get myself out of that prison of what my own expectations, what I can believe that I can and can't do. And I do something like go out dancing. And it's great. It's fun. It's wonderful. It's a new experience. I do something that I tell myself I can't do, I won't do, I don't like, and I do it, and I find that I do like it. I tell you, I think this is one of the great things about being a follower of Christ, a believer in God, that God calls us to all sorts of unexpected things. Things we may tell ourselves that we don't do. But you know, all of these things, whether they're real or not real, they're like these little prison walls we build for ourselves. We're going to live within this prison that we've made. We've made for ourselves. And we can miss out on so much. That's probably one of my biggest regrets. All the things that I have missed out on simply because I told myself it's not for me. There's other little prisons we build as well. Other ways we define ourselves simply by the negative. What about our past mistakes? You know, something we've done in the past that we regret, some sin that we have committed, and despite the fact that we've asked for forgiveness, and we know God has forgiven us, we continue to carry it with us. It's a little prison, again, we have built for ourselves. What about past disappointments? Other people have disappointed us in some way, and we hang on to it. We define ourselves by those disappointments. We hold on to the negative, and that's the way we see ourselves. That's the way we see our lives. So many little prisons we can build for ourselves, so many possibilities of ways, different ways, that we can confine ourselves in by focusing on the negative in life. It's one reason I love this verse in Philippians. The Apostle Paul, been through so much in his life, certainly been through a great deal physically, being thrown in prison, being beaten, being hungry. I mean, he had a difficult missionary life, moving from one place to another, spending so much time insecure, not sure what was going to happen next, being threatened, all these things in his life. And here he says, you know, I have learned, and I love what he says here right in the middle of this verse. He says, I'm hungry, I've been full, I've been in need, and I've had plenty. He says, I have learned the secret. I have learned the secret. That's something I want you to hear today. This secret to life, this secret to embracing it, this secret to getting the most out of it and seeing life as it truly is. Paul said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Being a follower of Christ means that we're able and we're willing to knock down or ignore these prison walls that we have built for ourselves, that Christ has already knocked down for us, gotten out of the way, but we tend to build them back up ourselves. We have been set free, yet we don't feel free, because we're focused on all the worst things. We become followers of Christ, and suddenly our past mistakes should be nothing to us. They are in the past. We have been forgiven. There's no reason to carry guilt around with us. The past disappointments that other people have brought into our lives, we don't need to define ourselves by those either. Because as we have been forgiven, so shall we forgive. And we truly forgive and we let those things go. And even those limitations in our lives that are absolutely real, that do limit us, our responsibilities, our jobs, our families, how much money we have, how much ability we have to move around and get around in this world, whether we have the ability to see the people we love or whether they're not with us. These are actual limitations. But when we follow Christ, we quit defining ourselves by those limitations. We don't define ourselves by what we don't have. We start defining ourselves by our blessings. We start every day by counting those blessings, by thinking about them. And that's my prayer for today, for you, for today, and for tomorrow, and in this week ahead, and throughout the rest of your life. You're going to have the opportunity sometime this week ahead to focus on the negative, to focus on what you can't have, the people you can't be with, the things you can't do. And you're going to have a chance to define yourself in that way. My prayer for you, for all of us, is that together we can say, in the voice of Paul, no, I'm going to concentrate on what is best in this world. And I am going to remember that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Let's bow. Loving God, we do have many challenges in this world, and we need to see them and we need to take them seriously. There are injustices we need to be angry about, that you are calling us to be angry about. But loving God, never, never let us be blind to the blessings that exist in our lives. Through your Son, Jesus Christ, help us to tear down these prisons that we build around ourselves. Help us to embrace the very best in life. Help us to approach each day as a precious gift from you. It is in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.